Right, good afternoon everybody. I think a lot of you know who I am. My name's Geoff Chandler. I'm the channel manager here at Document Genetics. And this is the start of a treble act, if you like, because I want to show you how you can use ParetoPost to save money on your postage. And at the end of this presentation, I'll be introducing Gal and Andrew from Europa Components. Who'll be giving you a quick overview, a quick case study, because they actually use the product in-house themselves. So, to start off, I wonder how many of you know how much it costs to send one of these in the post. The days have long gone now, I'm afraid, since the penny black, but has anyone got any idea what the true cost is of sending one of these in the post?
Including paper and toner, £1.10.
That's very, very good, actually. You've obviously seen my presentation before. If I was awarding wine, I'd give you a bottle. Basically, yep, you're right. The true cost actually to print and fulfil a standard first-class letter is anywhere between £1, £1.10 and £1.30, and that's according to the Federation of Small Business. That is actually on their website. And even if you're using second-class franking, the cost is still between 80p and £1. So it's pretty expensive. And how do the Federation of Small Business actually calculate that cost? As you rightly say, Craig, you've got lots and lots of costs involved here. So direct costs, you've got the cost of the envelope, the cost of the postage, whether it's a first-class stamp, a second-class, first or second franked. Also, you've got the print costs, the cost for renting the franking machine if you're using franking, and also the energy involved in producing all of these items. But the biggest cost as well is the labour. The time involved in actually folding the document, putting it into the envelope, accounts for a large proportion of that cost. But at the same time, you have indirect costs. We have the cost of the environment. We're chopping down millions of trees to do this. Also, of course, you've got lost mail, which is another potential indirect cost, because if your customers aren't receiving the invoices, they're not going to pay you. And this in turn affects cash flow. So what is the true cost of post? This is a picture of Joe actually doing his Saturday job. You can see there's also quite a vast cost in elastic bands by the look of this picture. But if you're posting 1,500 letters a month, then at £1.20 a letter, that's 21,600 a year, or over £100,000 over 5 years. So when you start looking at it like this, you can very quickly see how much it's costing your organisation to send letters. Romell costs, well, again, this is just setting the scene. A few years ago, it was first class was 46p. It's been 60p now for a couple of years. And even a first class franked is 44. It was 39. And you can see from this graph here that in 1980, it was just over 10p. It's now risen to 60p. But that was the 30th of April 2012. So beware, because they haven't put the prices up for the last year or so. Now, what is ParetoPost? Well, this is an alternative to post. It's a very powerful, cost-effective solution that replaces traditional post. And it works in conjunction with products like Formate to deliver business-critical documents to the ParetoPost system, which is a cloud-based web portal solution. And how it works is the sender uses something like Formate, or you've seen it here first, Formate Evo, to create documents like in a PDF format together with their XML data as well. And we have an automatic FTP process that then uploads those documents into ParetoPost, which is a hosted solution, as I said, which sits in the cloud. Now, ParetoPost is ideal for lots and lots of documents. Sales invoices, for instance, statements, purchase orders, delivery notes. We have organisations we're talking to now that want to use ParetoPost specifically just for payslips. Contracts, any type of document that you want to put in the cloud to give easy access to your customers to is where ParetoPost can be used. So how does it work? Well, as I mentioned, the documents and associated XML metadata are created in the first place. We upload these documents and metadata to the ParetoPost cloud server, and then we have an automatic email which is sent to the recipient, the customer, letting them know that they have a document to view. And incidentally, what you can do is, before this process takes place, you'd obviously notify the customers that in future they will be using this type of technology, and we can send them a link to a YouTube video which tells them how to use ParetoPost. But as you'll see in a minute, it is a very, very easy product to use. And then once the end user gets his email, he clicks on the embedded URL link and it goes directly to their web portal. So this is an example of some verbiage on an email. So in fact, in this particular one, we have two embedded URL links. One will take you directly to the document once you have logged into the ParetoPost system, and the other one will take you to the portal where you can happily peruse all the documents that are in your portal at this moment in time. So how it works is the user will get this email, they click on a link, they come to a screen here where they can put in their username and password. Now at this point it's probably worth mentioning that ParetoPost can be white labelled, and you'll see this later on. Okay, we use orange here, but you can use your company colours. We can put your logo up here, and indeed you don't have to call it ParetoPost. You can call it whatever you want to call it. The only thing we ask is that we keep the Powered by ParetoPost in the corner here. So the user now logs in with a username and password. They're taken to a splash page, and this could be where you have your logos. You could also maybe advertise new products here as well if you want to. So you're forcing the users to look at this page before they actually look at their documents. We then move to the documents button up here, and when we click on this, you see a very sort of hopefully straightforward screen with lots of columns on it. Now basically the columns here are that each one of these lines represents a document. Here we have invoices, a credit note, and we have the metadata displayed in the columns. So you have the document reference, that could be the invoice number, the document date, the type of document it is, but also, as well as a user, we have a traffic light system here. So if anything is green with a tick in it, you viewed that document before. So it may be that it's in your interest to view a document that you haven't actually seen. And you can also here, you can save documents locally to your machine. And this column here shows you whether you've actually done that or not. We also have a payments column, and this is additional functionality that can be switched on and off. But this is where we can link ParetoPost to your merchant provider. So for instance, someone like Barclaycard, WorldPay, PayPal, the user can actually view their invoice, for example, and then go straight to their merchant provider site, pay an amount of the invoice, if not all of it, some of it, and then they will go back into the ParetoPost system. But it just means that, in actual fact, when we were trialling this, one of the companies we were trialling it with said that their users found it really, really good to view their documents, but they were thinking, whilst I'm viewing a document, it makes sense for me now to be able to pay it. So we introduced that functionality that can be added to the normal ParetoPost functionality if you need it to be. We've also up here got search buttons, so you can search if you want to for a specific record. You can search for all invoices, and you can actually view the documents between different dates as well if you need to. So for instance, now if I go into doc type, you see I can type in INV with a wildcard, and in this case you see all the invoices that are in the system. You can also store as many documents in here as you want, but it's important to realise that this isn't a document management repository as such, it's a temporary storage area. So as the administrator, when you set this system up, you may set it up so that all of your users can see their documents for, say, the last 6 months or the last 9 months. But that's very flexible and entirely up to yourself. So from the user's point of view now, all I do is I click on the view document icon over here, and I will see in this case my invoice. Over the top here I can open the document directly from Adobe if I want to. I can save the document, and this creates a zip file with the PDF and the metadata in it. I can see the information about the document, the metadata, but also as well we can add notes. So where it says select notes here, you can have a predefined button that says, for instance, accepted, rejected, a drop down button there, or you can actually type a note in here. So wouldn't we all like to see a note like this every day? You know, I am happy to pay this invoice. But the good thing is that when you put a note into the system, you can then see what notes you've put against that document. But more importantly, managers back at head office, like credit controllers for instance, can also see that note and action upon it if they need to. So really from the client end, if you like, we think that we've made this very, very easy for them to use and not overcomplicated things. As far as the manager's concerned, the manager will log in with his username and password. He's got a few more buttons up here. He can view his documents, but as a manager, I'm also an administrator now, so I can change passwords for users, for instance. I can add new email addresses for customers. And if need be, I can upload single documents at a time. So if I click onto my Documents tab here, my screen is a little bit busier. I've got more search facilities at the top, but moving across the columns here, as with the client, I've got my document reference, say my invoice number, the date it was uploaded. I've got the account code that the invoice relates to. So for instance, up here when I do a search, I could do a search for a specific account code. So if I'm talking to somebody about a late payment of an invoice, as I'm on the phone to them, they can be looking at the document at their end, and I'm also seeing it here as well. I can see whether the document has definitely gone through, it's definitely been emailed. I can see if the end user, the customer, has viewed the document, and I can also see if they've saved the document locally. And this is very useful. If I'm a credit controller, it may be that at the moment I'm ringing up my customers and saying, right, for instance, when are you going to pay my invoice of £500? And they could quite easily turn around and say, well, I haven't got it. Now they might have it, but they don't want to pay you. They'd rather have the money in their account than give the money to yourself. So it's affecting your age debt, or days sales outstanding as another one it's known as. So with a document, with a system like this, you can ring up the customer and say to them, when are you going to pay the £500 on the invoice? And if they turn around and say to you, I haven't seen that invoice, then with this system here, you know that they've seen it because you can tell here that they've viewed it. And there's also an audit trail in the background, so you know exactly what time they've viewed the document. So it removes the excuse to pay. We also have the payments column here again, and this is used with the additional merchant provider functionality that I'll talk about shortly. But we also have a concept here of a hidden date and a retention date. Now the hidden date is the date up to which the customer, the client, can see the document on his portal. But the retention date is the date that myself as an administrator can reinstate that document if I need to. So if the customer rings up and says, look, I want to look at this invoice, but I haven't got the ability to view it anymore, then as an administrator, I can bring it up again for them to look at. And as an administrator, I can set these hidden dates and retention dates to however I want to set them. So the next screen here, for instance, I've done a search on not viewed documents, because maybe as a credit controller, these are the documents and the customers I need to be in contact with, because if they haven't viewed the document, the chances are they're probably not going to pay it. So this gives you the ability to do searches on the columns, and you can see here that everything down here is red. So these are documents that haven't been read by those particular customers. And the reason that some of these lines here are in red is because the actual document itself has gone past its retention date period. So it just tells me as an administrator that I know that the customer can't actually see that document at the moment. The icons on the left here, well, as with the client, you can actually view the document by clicking on this icon here. This, we have an email history, so we can see at any time how many times we've had to email this document to a particular end user. We have an email reminder link, so we can manually re-email this document to the user. But in the background, we've got some additional functionality now that can be set so that if the customer hasn't opened the document within a period of time, say 3 days, the system will automatically send them a reminder email to say, you have an invoice to view and you haven't actually viewed it yet. And we also here have the ability to view the notes. So by these particular account documents, you can see there's a note attached. So, you know, it might be important for me as a credit controller now to click on this icon and see what the note is. And we also now have introduced a daily note report, if you like, so you can see instantly what notes have been added by the customers to these documents. This screen is showing you what the payment column would look like if we're actually using the merchant provider facility. So for instance, what would happen is here you have different coloured pound signs in this case. So a green pound sign means that the customer has paid the full amount on the invoice. Orange means it's part paid, and by hovering over the icon you can see straight away how much has been paid. And red means that the customer hasn't paid it. And we're not trying to take this functionality away from your account system, your ERP system. This is more like an aide memoir really for the credit controllers. So again, just to go to show you how it works, the sender automatically uploads all the relevant documents, invoices, credit notes for instance, to the ParetoPost cloud. The receiver gets an email notification letting them know that there's a document ready to view. They can then view and download these documents and view the notes. We can view the document history, but you've got this traceability, because unlike some of you may be sending invoices as PDFs attached to emails at the moment, for instance, and that's fine, but you do get spam filters in the way, you get firewalls in the way. So you don't know that they've definitely received the document, but with ParetoPost, it is traceable. You do know that they have received the document. Now, how do we actually cost ParetoPost? Well, it's based on the number of PDFs sent per month. Now, a PDF, for instance, could be an invoice, and that could be a 1-page invoice. It could be a 10-page invoice. It doesn't matter to us. So it's based on the number of PDFs sent per month, and we call this the PDF click charge. But this PDF click charge includes the hosting fee. We use Fast Host to host ParetoPost, so it includes all the monthly charges for that, the professional services involved in setting the system up, the annual support, and also Formate Evo, or any other product that can create PDFs with metadata. But obviously we're going to suggest that you need Formate to do that. And you can purchase ParetoPost outright, or you can lease it if you like on a 1, 3 or 5 year deal. And this really protects you from any price rises. So as a salesman, I'm bound to say you should buy it on a 5-year deal. But you are saving money because of the fact that price rises in the future from the Romell won't actually affect you. So the benefits, there's many benefits. I mean, you can eliminate postage cost. ParetoPost can help you reduce your age debt and get rid of that excuse that so many people have not to pay. You can improve communications with your customers. You've got the notes facilities. You've also got the fact that, with the log on page, you can advertise new products that you might be introducing shortly. Unlike PDF via email, you've got the traceability, you've got the audit trails in the background. And it's customer self-service. I mean, a lot of people we talk to about ParetoPost, one of their major problems is at the moment that their account staff are spending a lot of time answering questions for their customers about invoices and other document types. The hope is that because the customer can view these documents himself, that it is self-service, and that is available obviously 24/7. Zero impact from postal strikes. So obviously if there's any postal strikes that happen, this isn't going to affect your business. Protection from postage rises, reduce your carbon footprint. Kate reliably tells me that you can save 20 grams of CO2 per letter. Like Formate as well, it works with any ERP system. It doesn't matter what the ERP system is. And there is a massive ROI. The more documents that you're sending at the moment via post or via franking, the more money you can save by using this sort of solution. It can also be white labelled, and you'll see that shortly. So there's lots and lots of benefits that go with ParetoPost. I'm coming to the end now. I wonder if any of you know who this fine-looking lady is at all. Correct, yeah. She's the new CEO, Moya Green is her name, the new CEO of the Romell. And she's already making noises, which is getting people twitching about possible price rises with Post. She's already saying that the postal operators' products are pretty cheap compared to the rivals in Europe, and also that they didn't raise any stamp prices last year. And you've only got to look through the papers and on the web to see that there's lots of rumours saying that a first-class stamp could soon be as much as £1. And also as well, competitors in this marketplace are suggesting that Romell at the moment is enjoying a VAT-free status, but they are gearing up to challenge that, which could also mean that prices will rise fairly quickly. So I don't want to scaremonger at all, but just be aware that they're going to be going up. So hopefully you'll all agree that now is the time for a product like ParetoPost. We do have a special offer as well. Until the 31st of December, anyone that shows any interest in ParetoPost will receive 10,000 free PDF clicks. So please see either me or Joe later, and we can talk to you about this. So thank you very much. I'd now like to hand over to Gail and Andrew from Europa Components. We'll be giving you a brief overview of how they use ParetoPost in their organisation. And then if there's any questions, we can take those after that session, if that's okay.